What's up everybody, back with a Magnum Quest video, and in this one I'm continuing the ever so dusty Hero Spotlight series. It's been long enough that I'll probably need to wear a mask while dusting this playlist off, but it is coming back. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to update the previous ones because a lot of changes have happened since the last video, but the focus for this video is all on Shael. The master builder makes bosses go bye-bye. Let's get it.
You again.
If you're new to the channel, new to the game, I break these videos up into categories, and you can check out the timestamps in the video description down below if you want to jump ahead. Starting off as usual, we're going to go with gear. Now gear has went through changes since my last Hero Spotlight video. Any hero can use any gear set, and there's now a forging system. So because of all this, I'm going to have to compile all my old videos in the series into a relatively short one where I just highlight any changes to specific heroes because there are some to be made. I'll do my best to explain each category as quickly and efficiently as possible for this video. The optimal gear set for her is going to be the demon set, and not the typical tribal set seen here for most DPS, which gives crit damage, and damage, and it's due to how her skill kit works, which I'm going to compare in a second. So the demon set, this set gives you dodge 25%, hit 40%, and damage 12%. You have hit to increase her damage and crit, and the reason because of this is hit is also accuracy. And what does Shael benefit from? Well, a lot of accuracy. Her skill fine tuning at level 3, every point of accuracy, aka hit, also increases her crit rate and damage by 0.5%. So this means this demon set, hit 40, is actually giving her 20% crit chance and damage, and in her case, she's a magic damage dealer, so that's going to be 20% magic damage. You have dodge to help with survivability because she's a forest hero and she has no built-in lifesteal, and then you have damage, of course, to further increase her damage. Now the reason why the tribal set isn't as effective is because it gives crit 12%, while the demon set gives 20% like I just explained. Crit damage 25%, the demon set gives 20% magic damage, and then damage 12%, the demon set gives the same. Even though it's crit damage versus magic damage, the loss is minimal compared to the boost in crit chance you get from the demon set. So one of the neat things about the new gear system is this resonating bonus, especially for gear sets, is that as you increase your forged gear rarity, it's going to boost these demon set gear stats. What this means is down the road, way down the road, unless changes are made to the forging system, it will give you more freedom in stat allocation while still having the optimal build for her. Now that we got gear out of the way, moving over to the ideal rune. So because Shael is right now the top boss DPSer in the game, keep in mind this is based off having a max star map optimal build. You will want to use a red attack rune on her. If a new player, it's because red attack rune increases attack and crit damage over time, and with boss fights, you're not looking to win in 10 seconds, 20 seconds like say chapter adventure or PvP. You want to last those full 90 seconds, the full boss fight duration, for maximum damage potential. The stats that you're going to want to aim for on your gold red attack rune, you can use bronze or silver if you don't have this available, but just remember you have less options, meaning less slots to fill, and the stats are reduced. So you're going to want to aim for a full hit rune. Now this was definitely very weird for me to understand when this hero was released, because typically DPS heroes want to go with crit damage, physical damage increase, etc. And the reason for this is, like I mentioned with the gear set choice, is because of her skill set. So because accuracy in this game is the same as hit, or at least hit can improve accuracy, it's the reason why you don't have to have crit chance on her rune like seen here. So the ideal hit stat you want to aim for to optimally build your Shael is 150. Keep in mind this is including the bronze tier skill Swift Victory. The reason being is 150 translates to 75% crit chance and 75% magic damage, because 1 accuracy equals 0.5% crit chance and magic damage. Then you factor in each hero has a base crit chance of 5%, so that's going to bring her to 80%. With the star map bronze skill Swift Victory, it will add 20% if you can keep her HP above 50%, which brings her to 100% crit chance. So how do you obtain that special hit 150? Well, the demon set gives you 40, A full gold rune gives you 100, then the last 10 come from the resonation bonus for having 5-star set gear, plus you have the occupational bonus. As you increase your forge set rarity, the better the set bonus percent boost, so you can replace a hit stat, say on the rune, for more crit damage, magic prot, which just means more magic damage, attack speed, or whatever in the future. So for me right now, with my resonation bonus, 20% of 40 is 8. And the remainder you get from the occupational bonus because Shael is a hunter, so if we go there, you can see as you ascend these heroes, you gain better occupational stats, and in this case it's going to be hit, which really is only benefiting Shael from this list. Hit is a very selective hero stat, so with this, I'm getting 9.6 from here. You might be getting less, you might be getting more. I haven't maxed my rows yet. So I'm actually over the 100% crit chance because I'm sitting at 157.6, but I'm not at that point yet where I can replace a hit stat. Maybe when they make forging resources, like I said earlier, specifically blueprints and flames of truth more available, because I fail forging pieces left and right with those very questionable fail rate percentages. So there's a bunch of factors to take into consideration when trying to optimize your heroes now, which is very helpful as not everyone is going to have access to everything or be able to get a max star map or perfect rolled rune. You have gear sets, resonation set bonus, forge gear affixes like these. You have rune, star map, hero skills such as buffs or passives, and then you have the occupational bonus. There might be more ways, these are just off the top of my head. The reason I don't factor in the accuracy buff from her flash bomb skill seen here is because it's not 100% uptime active. So yes, she will go beyond 100% crit chance when this buff is active because I'm going to gain 10 crit chance and 10 magic damage. Now if you don't have access to a full hit gold rune, there are other options to reach close to or 100% crit chance, as you can replace with stats in her star map, which I'm going to be going over next. But just remember, the damage won't be as good as this is not the optimal setup, but I understand not everyone has access to the best of the best. So now that we have the gear set done, the rune done, we're going to move over to her star map. Now survivability is going to be an issue because forest heroes only get dodge from this node, unlike wild heroes who get lifesteal like this. So even though this percent is very low, when you increase your power, you do more damage, so this percent value makes more of a difference. And also because very few heroes in this game have a lifesteal hero skill, such as Durla's ult for example, particularly forest DPS will struggle. Moving over to her bronze tier, the first node, attack of course, second node, attack speed. Now just a quick mention about attack speed and star maps, this has just only recently been introduced into the game. Every new hero from now on will have attack speed based on what we've seen so far as an option, but any heroes before Rose will not. It definitely sucks because I would love to have attack speed on many of my older heroes' star maps. So right now we have Rose, Panda, Shael, and now Ryan with attack speed options. The reason why attack speed is very important for Shael is because of how her ultimate works, but I'll save that when I go over her skills because I'm going to show in-game footage to help you visually understand. If you lack those hit stats on her rune, instead of going attack speed, you could go crit chance here. Third node is attack, fourth node critical damage because I've already optimized my Shael for 100% crit chance, so this is just going to further boost her damage. If you still lack that crit chance, you could go for hit, but like I said, it won't be the optimal build, but you have to do some tinkering with your hero to see what works for you with what you have to work with. And finally, the bronze tier skill. As I mentioned, I go with Swift Victory for the 20% crit chance that I factored in earlier when discussing the optimal build. However, if you're not at that squad level where she can stay above 50% HP, if you regain your HP back over 50%, you're not going to get this buff back again. So if you can't maintain the HP, I would choose Fury of War, which is also a good boss DPS skill. If Bloodlust was an option here, this would make the majority of players' time easier, as Bloodlust grants lifesteal, like say on Hista's seen here. I'm going to give you an example though. My squad level was 494 at the time of this recording, and my Shael, if she is not placed in the front of Sir to receive heals, due to the lack of everything involving survivability, she will not stay above 50% HP. So I have to have Cinia in the back, but you're going to need a strong enough squad level for her to survive the whole fight without heals, so it's an unfortunate situation. Sacrifices will need to be made, and it's going to take a little bit of experimenting with, whether that's with arcane cards, setup, etc. to hopefully survive the whole fight or close to it. Maybe you won't, maybe you will, but your main goal is to simply look to improve your DPS overall, however that is. Now moving over to her silver tier, the first node attack, second node I go with dodge simply because it doesn't really matter to me if she dodges an attack due to all the buffers I have in my boss setup. When you dodge an attack, you don't gain energy, but you could go for minus magic damage taken as the guild boss does do magic damage. Third node is going to be attack. The fourth node is critical damage or whatever your stats you're lacking. The fourth node attack. And then for the silver tier skill, no choice here, it's going to be Blessing of Agility. And finally, for her gold tier, the first node, critical damage or whatever you're lacking, second node, attack, third node, attack speed, and then the fourth node, critical damage. And finally, her gold tier skill. So I've done some testing earlier on, and Big Bully seems to outperform Show of Skill. I've said this before, but all bosses do have HP, but the guild boss, as an example, the HP is hidden. There is a set HP cap on the boss to my knowledge, which is why skills like Big Bully and Fire of Hatred work. However, to help with survivability, if that's an issue, you can do Show of Skill paired with a Lifesteal Arcane card like this one, or this one, whichever gives you the higher value, because after her ultimate, the following 6 attacks do 15% additional damage, meaning bigger damage, more lifesteal values, so it will help her stay alive more frequently than say Big Bully, as it's based off those HP thresholds. I just found Big Bully in terms of damage performance is better, because due to all the ways you can increase your attack speed, whether from the Fabian Arcane card or attack speed in her star map, those 6 auto attacks following expire in a blink of a second, compared to getting to the boss to one of those 50% HP thresholds with Big Bully, and then doing increased damage till you reach the next and then it resets. If you're looking for the average damage difference, I did 8 attacks, 4 with Big Bully, 4 with Show of Skill. Big Bully seemed to average about 1.5 billion more damage for me. The reason why Big Bully works is the boss has those HP thresholds. I don't know the exact values because I don't even know the max HP, but let's just say the boss has 5 million HP. It works the same way as Hatred does. As you reach specific damage numbers, your Hatred increases seen here. So as you reach specific HP thresholds leading up to that, for this example, let's say 5 million HP, this Big Bully skill procs. So Shael will do 16% additional damage, and then when that HP bar reaches another HP threshold, it procs again, etc. Up to whatever the max HP is. The reason why I say this boss has a hidden max HP is because you can test it with the star map skill Fire of Hatred. So if on my Hista, for example, I don't take this gold tier skill, I would do much less damage. Then if I take the Fire of Hatred skill, which increases by the target's max HP, my Hista does much more damage. That's just how I'm gonna look at it. Comment down below if you have any other theories from testing between Big Bully and Show of Skill, which works better. Now moving over to the Forest Faction Ascension priority. So because I really only use Shael in boss fights, and she does require a relatively high squad level for survivability purpose, I think she falls around 3rd or 4th depending on what you value more, bosses or everything else. For me, first is Fi, second is Ione, and then 3rd or 4th is your choice between Fair or Shael. 5th, you can work on your choice of either Fabian or Cyan. Both do well on bosses or in PvP, their skill kits are just different. The others can function at low stars, such as Osishi. Obviously, eventually you're going to want to ascend everyone if possible. And this priority list goes off your luck with summons. You may not get many Fi copies and then get a bunch of Ione copies, so your priority list may change. This is just how I would go about it if I had luck with summons. So almost done here. Now the game mode I use my Shael on is bosses. So the typical setup I run with her is based off that. So that would mean fitting her into the optimal boss meta. The standard boss meta consists of 3 core heroes who are not replaceable if looking to get the highest damage you possibly can. You're going to have Harry, Cinia, and Sir. Then the optimal boss meta has a bunch of options based off the state of the game you're in. Factors such as if you're free to play, spending, star map investment, rune stats, ascension stars, etc. Basically, the last 2 spots are filled with 2 boss DPSers. For me, it's going to be Issy and Shael are my choices. Although Hista I've seen perform relatively close to my Hista.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Although Hista I've seen perform relatively close to my Issy. Once I finish my Ryan star map, I would be replacing Issy for the endgame meta of Ryan and Shael. I'll probably update a boss video eventually to go into further detail. Now, the reason why I have my setup like this is regarding Shael's survivability, like I mentioned earlier. This is how I set mine up, but it will be different based off your account. Maybe you didn't take Swift Victory, so you can swap these two and Cinia gets the heals. You're gonna have to do some testing for yourself. Another reason why you still see the 2 DPS in the front is because of the Fabian level 3 card. I don't have this yet, so it doesn't matter, but if I did, you can see here at level 3, front row heroes gain an additional 15% attack speed, so that's why ideally you would want your 2 boss DPSers in the front. Now we're going to cover her skills to try to figure out where these bonker damage numbers come from. So the Flash Bomb, like I said, it's not 100% uptime active, which is the main reason I don't factor it into my optimization. You can if you want, it just means you're going to have some moments of RNG damage due to not critting, since you won't have 100% crit chance all the time. But what I didn't mention yet is at level 2, the Flash Bomb also reduces the enemy's magic damage resistance by 20%. This is another reason why I pair my Shael with Issy for bosses, because both do magic damage, than say if I did Shael with Hista, because Hista doesn't do magic damage. So what do I mean when I say this isn't 100% active? Well, when you look at the boss battle, I'll zoom in a bit so we can see when she uses Flash Bomb. Okay, so right here she just used it. The bomb is going up in the air, so you can track the time from here. It lasts 12 seconds. Then in a perfect world, you would want her to use this skill again right when it ends to reactivate the accuracy buff plus magic debuff. However, there's issues with this, such as like if she gets stunned, how much haste she is given, because haste reduces the cooldown of your hero's skills, not including your ultimate. And then the big issue, Shael cannot use her Flash Bomb skill during the device charge process on her ultimate, which I'll get into in a bit. So there's just a lot of downtime between the skills activation, and then that's why I just don't factor this into my calculations. Moving over to fine tuning, I already went over this, but it's a passive skill and why accuracy, which can be increased from the hit stat, is so important on her. Explosive Bomb, it's an AoE skill which really isn't needed for bosses unless the boss has adds like we have seen with the Prince Pumpkin Halloween boss. But this skill can be improved on with more accuracy to increase the radius, which gets capped at 200%. So like her other skills, accuracy, very important. And finally, her Sharpshooter ultimate skill. This is where all of the RNG, meaning randomness, will come into play when seeing her final total damage, and honestly, I still don't really know how this skill works. The reason being is the bulk of her ultimate damage is based off how much damage dealt during the charge process. There's a lot of stuff I don't really know about her ultimate, so maybe someone can clear it up in the comments down below, but I'll try my best to explain, and I'll probably ask some questions as well. So for my first question, how long or what is needed for the power device to be fully charged? It says here it increases haste for 40 for 5 seconds. So is this the time needed to fully charge, or is this only to help you speed up the time needed? Is there any way to even see your charging status? Because it says once the device is charged, she uses her ultimate, which is the arcane arrow, dealing magic damage equal to 100% of the damage dealt during the charge. So there's 3 points here. Number 1, Shael cannot use her ultimate again or Flash Bomb skill that I went over with while she's charging up the power device. You'll notice sometimes that even if she uses her ultimate and then it becomes available again, it won't work even if it's on auto or you're clicking her portrait. Number 2, this is where a lot of the RNG factors in regarding her total damage outcome, because the more damage she does during the charging phase, but there could be issues that affect this, such as maybe she gets boss stunned, or it's not timed correctly with, for example, in my boss setup, Cinia's attack buff or Harry's attack and haste buff, her damage is going to suffer. And then number 3, if survivability is an issue, and she's dying before the battle is over, that's a lot of damage lost because of factors like your gold-red attack rune. It works by building up your damage over time, so your highest damage will come from toward the end of the battle, or buffs from like say Sir, Cinia, etc., as your power will have been increased, thus these buffs will make you even stronger. So yeah, there's no doubt this hero does crazy damage, especially towards the end of the fight, like in the Under Palace. The fair boss is where you can see it the most. His HP just drops, like when he goes under half HP, it's just gone, and I know players aren't happy with this, but I like her. She's one of the more unique heroes, and I for one love using her, even though I still don't really understand what's going on. And listen, she's just a regular faction hero. She's not Abyss, she's not Divinity. She's much easier to obtain and star map for because she needs Lights of Forest and not say like Lights of Abyss or Divinity. That's just my opinion. And lastly, her story. Shael is a mixed child born to a high elf and a dark elf. She loves her technology and engineering, but she kept her weapon blueprint a secret from Marielith, and she ended up destroying the weapon because Marielith be crazy. So she was imprisoned, and then she met someone named Wulfric, escaped with Wulfric, and then she continued her love for making badass tech. It's been a while since I've done a hero spotlight video. I try to be as detailed as I can with the information. Obviously, I might make mistakes here or there, I might miss stuff, but I do really enjoy doing these, and I hope I can do more consistently a week, because I think they're pretty helpful for newer players or even older players who may not be aware of the optimal build for that said hero. Leave a comment down below if you want to add anything I may have missed or correct me on what I said so others can see. Also, if you want, you can let me know what hero you would like to see next so I can make a list. I will aim to get them all done, but at least this will allow me to prioritize based off popular demand. As always, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.